If I were to quiz you right now on the last YouTube video you watched, would you pass or fail? My name is Adam. This is Questions for Change. Let's go. So I got two tips today that I want to go over to improve content retention, which I think is a very useful skill to have, whether you're going to school or you're at work or you just want to learn anything really. And that's the power of recall, number one, and teaching in your own words. I think both are super useful and actually really easy to do when you think about it. And so I think you're getting a lot out of it when you're trying to learn something new. Let's go over the power of recall first. I think it's really underutilized. I think that it's very useful for you to think about what you just learned right after you learn it. And I think studies have been done actually to prove that this is actually the case, that you retain a lot more. You tend to remember things a lot easier when you think about when you review what you just went over, what you just learned, what you just watched, what you just read, anything like that. And you really only need a couple minutes to do it. Even if you've been reading for an hour or so, it probably won't take that long to remember even little details, about what you just read. You can recall mentally. You can recall by writing it down in a journal or even just like a notepad. If you want to get creative, you could even, if you have your own blog, for example, you can do it there. You can even use social media if you want. After you've learned something or watched something or really anywhere where you want to retain information that you just learned, try it. Just try thinking about right after you're done, right after you're going on to something else completely different. Just recall what you can remember. Everything that you can possibly remember, you'll retain it for a lot longer. And it's definitely, at least in my opinion, the easiest method, the easiest technique that you can use to remember more, to retain more. The second tip I have for you is teaching in your own words. Teaching just in general is really good for solidifying information that you just learned. And I think the only really true way to know something or, be knowledgeable or skilled in something is to teach it. You can do what I do and post a video about what you just learned. Trying to, even though you're not talking to somebody directly or to a group of people directly, it's still teaching. You could even talk to a stuffed animal, or your boyfriend, girlfriend, your parents, anything. You can use an inanimate object. Just getting it out, just trying to formulate the words in your head and expressing it to something else, anything, helps solidify information a lot easier and a lot quicker. Now, what do I mean when I say teaching in your own words? The content that you typically consume, whether you're watching something or reading something, anything really, it's not targeted at everybody, right? It's not targeted at all audiences. And so just kind of regurgitating the information you just learned word for word or even loosely paraphrasing it may not work for everyone, right? The goal, isn't just to say what you learned, just to get it out. It's, you're trying to actually teach, you're trying to actually get the other person to pick up on that information, to learn it themselves. So when you use the exact words or you paraphrase, what you've just learned to somebody else, they may not get it. And that's why I think you have to use it in your own words. The main goal in what you're trying to do is you're trying to dumb it down enough for the person that you could practically teach someone who's like five. You could teach like a 5-year-old. You could teach a kid how to do this. That's really a true way that you know something. That's when you've retained the information, when you can teach a 5-year-old what you just learned, no matter how complicated the subject is. And this obviously wouldn't go for inanimate objects, like stuffed animals or, a door or whatnot if you're, talking to one of those. But if you're trying to teach someone else what you've just learned, if they use that info that you've taught them successfully, then you know that you've learned it. You know that you have learned it, even though you're the one teaching it. So I'll give you guys a couple examples of my personal experience with both recall and teaching. So for recall, I commonly do this with YouTube videos and especially with Audible. I listen to Audible every morning on the way to work. That's how I get most of my reading in. And recall is pivotal for in my routine every morning. Right when I get to work, I write everything down on a notepad. Whatever I learned that day on the way to work. I read a lot of I listen to a lot of self-improvement books, and it helps me out immensely. normally if I wasn't using recall to learn what I've just listened to from Audible, I would normally have to go through the book a few more times. Now it's, I really don't have to. And not only that, I have a whole bunch of notes. Not only am I, memorizing it a lot easier, I'm retaining the information a lot easier, but I now have documented notes on the most important parts. In terms of teaching others, I work in IT. That's what I do normally. And I noticed this a lot with keyboard shortcuts. I love keyboard shortcuts. I'm a Windows user, so I could operate without a mouse for the most part. But it happens a lot in email. We're actually transitioning all of our users over to Gmail accounts now. And a lot of them are, they're lost without their Outlook keyboard shortcuts and they need to learn new things. So when as I pick up keyboard shortcuts, a lot of the ones that they use, I don't usually use. So I've had to learn them. And when I teach them, it's solidified. Like I pretty much know it instantly. I don't even have to, I don't have to look it up anymore. Like I pretty much just learned it immediately after helping everyone else out after just a few sessions. And obviously another thing that I do in terms of teaching is I make these YouTube videos. I think I said that earlier. That's been super helpful in my self-improvement journey, especially. Make a video. I think that's a really cool idea. I think, it forces you to explain to other people, and other people, hopefully if they comment on your videos, they'll let you know if you're full of shit or if you're right or if you help them. And either way, that's all good. That's all really good feedback. So those are just a couple examples. That this is like, you can apply this to literally any topic, any form of content. And I think you'll go very far with it. The best part about these two techniques is they start working immediately. Like you can increase your content retention by 50%. There's been a whole bunch of studies done on it and whatnot. Something like that. You can do that right now. Like it's immediate impact. In my last video, I talked about how great, meditation was and some other things, working on your focus and your self-discipline. And some of those things, you build it very slowly, inch by inch, over the weeks. And sometimes it would take you up to 3 or 4 weeks to really start seeing the improvement. You can do this right now and see immediate results. You'll notice, a lot of times when you read something or you consume something, you'll try to remember it even the next day, and you can't. Maybe you can remember one thing, right? You'll be surprised at how much more you'll remember by just doing simple things like recall. And if you carve out the time, just teaching somebody else what to do. As always, feedback is much appreciated. Let me know down in the comments, below if you have different strategies, or if you tried using these strategies and never used them before and they start really working for you, or if they're not working for you, if you have any questions. I'm always open to conversation. It's what I really, really want out of my channel is good feedback and good conversation. Also, as always, please like that video if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this one. I would really like to make a series out of these, these content retention topics, these memory topics. That's really what I want to do. I want to dive deeper into memory training because I think it's very helpful, a very helpful tool for all. And I think that's it for me today, guys. I'll see you next time.